One thing I find very intriguing in bouldering is the athlete is very versatile in what they can use to solve a problem. Now, what I mean by this is fundamentally, I think bouldering is a very fair sport. The athlete can use what they find most favorable, let's say an explosive dynamic style versus static and more technical display of strength in order to go about routes. Me personally, I know very little about technique and I have very poor grip strength. Because of this, I like to go for more dynamic movements and routes that don't require a lot of technique or and just things that have very difficult holds and grips such as like crimps, slopes and pinches. those are those are the routes that I basically completely ignored and did not attempt at all in this session today. Now you'll see in this video that coming from like a calisthenics background, I tend to really enjoy explosive and dynamic movements. I love skipping holds, especially when the holds are just tiny and there's a much easier hold at the top. And I find that's one of the more enjoyable sides of bouldering. I think over time, once I better understand technique, go about better like using my legs more, and or like let's say with like a heel hook or like a toe hook. I think once I learn those kinds of techniques, and I better adapt myself to approaching and like following a plan to these problems, then I'll appreciate it more. But for now, I think I'm rather stubborn and I'm really just trying to muscle my way through these routes. So if I'm being honest, I don't have too much to say about bouldering in general because I'm still very new. I don't know too much about it. And I feel like if I do mention something, it's probably going to be incorrect or very poor and inconsistent throughout. But essentially, I think the way I'm going to talk through this video is maybe bring about my thoughts on what happened for every single problem. So, excuse me. So for this problem right here, this was the first time I've ever encountered such an obscure route that really demanded you use your your ankles and your legs. Essentially, on that blue platform, you had to hang upside down using your heels and your toes, and that was so confusing to me. I had my friend who was more experienced with bouldering and its techniques guide me throughout this one right here, and he was telling me that I was touching one of the reds, and I was communicating with him essentially. So basically, he was helping me out throughout this one, and I always thought that having these grips go upside down, my grip strength would have helped. Sorry, not my grip strength, but just my general calisthenics pull strength would help out a lot. But using my legs and really maximizing this flexibility and just mobility is so challenging. I found this very, very difficult. For this one, I didn't manage to do this. I failed this one. These had, I think they're called pinches and a few slopes. And my grip strength just could not handle this whatsoever. I have very poor finger strength, and I just completely failed at that point. I decided might as well just not go through about it and call it a day for that route specifically. In this one right here, I was actually rather confused on what I had to do. I actually just showed like a quick time skip because I was on that rock and I had no idea what to do. And also this athlete right here, he gave me some space here, so appreciate that. But looking at this problem, I was very confused. I had no idea how to use that blue platform right there, but I managed to maneuver myself in a way to hold on to it. And that second last purple hold was good, but I accidentally failed that end point because I didn't manage to hold on to it with both hands at the end. This one right here, I found it to be on the more easy side, not in the fact that there's more technique or more like a less strength demand, I think it was just because I was able to use my legs very well in that session right there. Now, this one I found a bit confusing. It was tough. It used a lot of my strength, and there was one hold just right there that I just held that was super uncomfortable. I really hate pinching onto holds, mainly because I don't have that finger strength. And yeah, I had a bit of a fall there. So I looked back at the recording here and I was like, well, I was able to hold on to that and kind of jump up to that, but I didn't know what to do next. So I thought about it and I decided maybe I could push my elbow through and just use whatever I have in order to minimize the fatigue that the fatigue that accumulates, and do anything to like alleviate any strength and load, because I was running out of energy. It was tiring and I had no clue what to do during this in this hold. But eventually I figured it out. I think I was rather awkward in my positioning, but I managed to get through it. Now, I actually started off this session doing weighted pull-ups with my friend. Probably not the best idea right before a bouldering session, but surprisingly, I didn't really work hard on reps and volume. It was more so intensity, heavy weight, and this didn't necessarily fatigue me all that much throughout this session. So, while I do believe that I would have had a better session if I didn't start off with weighted pull-ups, I don't think it affected me too much. And that interests me a lot because maybe rock climbing is something that uses way more or like finger strength and grip strength rather than pure shoulder extension and your and like constant engagement of your back. I believe your back is constantly contracted and stretched in awkward positions, but there's no need for strenuous or like maximal outputs of strength in explosiveness. Though this is required for more dynamic movements, but with sufficient balance, technique, and experience, you could probably go about every single problem with ease with that kind of experience. So I found bouldering today very fun, interesting, and I really want to pursue it a bit more. But yeah, I'll finish it off here. And yeah, cheers for listening to this dialogue.